Look, I have been monitoring the human species for exactly 3 cycles now, and I am going to be completely honest with you. I thought I had them figured out. Commander Vex of the Krillian Intelligence Division, that is me, and I have studied over 47 species across 12 sectors. Humans, they seemed simple enough, predictable, even. Emotional creatures who loved their coffee, their pets and their ridiculous entertainment programs. Boy oh boy was I wrong. This started on a Tuesday, or at least, that is what the humans call it. The Galactic Council was having one of those tedious sessions where everyone argues about trade routes and mineral rights. You know the type, boring enough to make your sensory organs shut down from sheer exhaustion. I was there representing Krillia, mostly trying not to fall asleep in my hover seat when Ambassador Marcus Webb walked in. Now Marcus was what humans call a nice guy, always smiling, always ready with some self-deprecating joke about human inadequacies. He brought cookies to meetings, for Star's sake, chocolate chip ones, that even I had to admit were absolutely delicious. The other ambassadors loved him, thought he was harmless, thought all humans were. That Tuesday Marcus sat down at the human delegation table, put his briefcase down with a soft click, and smiled that same friendly smile. Nothing seemed different. Then the transmission came through. A terrorist organization called the Vox Collective. You have probably heard of them. Nasty pieces of work who blow up civilian transports for fun. Had hijacked a colony ship. 3,000 beings on board. Men, women, children, elderly, the whole spectrum. The Vox were demanding the release of their imprisoned leader and safe passage through council space. Standard terrorist playbook. Really. Happens maybe twice a cycle. Usually, the council deliberates for days, forms committees, drafts proposals, votes on sub-paragraphs of preliminary agreements. It is all very civilized and proper. We negotiate, they get something small, everyone goes home feeling diplomatic. Ambassador Marcus listened to the demands with his hands folded on the table, that pleasant expression never changing. The VAC spokesperson on the screen was going on and on about their justified grievances, blah blah blah, threatening to start executing hostages in 6 hours if demands were not met. Chancellor Thoros from Bentheray started drafting the usual response. You know, expressing deep concern, calling for calm, suggesting we open dialogue. The standard stuff we always do. That is when Marcus raised his hand. May I address the Vax Collective directly? He asked. Voice calm as still water. Chancellor Thoros looked surprised, but nodded. After all, there were 87 humans on that colony ship. Marcus had every right to speak. The screen flickered, and there was Kravix, the Vox field commander, all 6 of his eyes gleaming with what he probably thought was intimidating malice. Ah, the human representative. Come to beg for mercy. Your people make such amusing sounds when they plead for their lives. Marcus smiled wider. Actually wider. I remember thinking, is this guy in shock? Having some kind of mental breakdown. Hello Kravix. My name is Marcus Webb. I wanted to make sure you understood something before this goes any further. Kravix laughed. That horrible grinding sound the VAX make. Understand what little human, that you are powerless, that we hold all the leverage, that your pathetic species cannot stop us. No, Marcus said, and something in his voice made the temperature in the chamber seem to drop 10 degrees. I wanted to make sure you understood that Earth has a very simple policy regarding terrorism. We do not negotiate. We do not compromise. We do not pay ransoms. Not ever. Not even once. The chamber went silent. Completely, utterly silent. I sat up straighter in my seat. Wait, what? Chancellor Thoros looked alarmed. Ambassador Webb, surely we can find a diplomatic solution here. There are thousands of lives at stake. Marcus turned to look at the Chancellor, and I swear I have never seen a human's eyes go that cold. Chancellor, with all respect, I was not asking for permission. I was making a statement of fact. Earth's position is non-negotiable. Kravix was sputtering on the screen now. You would sacrifice your own people. You are bluffing. You must be. Am I? Marcus pulled up a data pad. Let me tell you what is happening right now, Kravix. 3 human military vessels have just entered the system. The EDF Relentless, the EDF Retribution and the EDF Reckoning. Beautiful ships, really. Bristling with weapons you have probably never even heard of because we do not typically bring them to council space. We try to be polite, you see. My translator implant almost malfunctioned. Did he just say 3 warships? Marcus continued. still smiling that terrifying smile. Those ships have exactly one mission: eliminate your vessels and rescue every single hostage. Not through negotiation, Kravix. Through superior firepower and tactics that your organization cannot possibly counter. You are insane, Kravix shrieked. We will start executing hostages immediately. You could do that, Marcus agreed pleasantly. And then my people will still eliminate your vessels, rescue the survivors, and hunt down every single member of the Vaix collective across the entire galaxy. We will not stop, Kravix. We will not forget. We will not forgive. That is not a threat. It is simply what happens when you make humans choose between temporary mercy and permanent justice. I could not believe what I was hearing. This was the same guy who brought cookies to meetings. The other council members were in complete chaos, now shouting about protocols, about proper procedure, about how this was not how civilized species handled things. Marcus just sat there calm as anything, watching Kravix's face cycle through about 17 different colors. You have one option, Marcus said quietly. Release every hostage unharmed within the next 30 minutes. Surrender your vessels to council authority. Then, and only then, we discuss what happens next. If you refuse, or if you harm even one being on that ship, Earth's military will demonstrate why we spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of warfare on a planet that actively tried to kill us every single day. That is when I realized something absolutely terrifying. Humans had not joined the Galactic Council because they needed protection. They had joined because they were trying to be civilized. They were holding themselves back. This whole time we thought we were teaching them how to navigate galactic politics. We were not. They were humoring us. Kravix was quiet for a long moment. Then this is not over, human. Yes, Marcus said softly. It really is. The transmission cut out. 28 minutes later, every single hostage was released unharmed. The Vox collective vessels surrendered to Council security forces without firing a single shot. And those 3 human warships, they just sat there in space, not moving, not threatening, just existing. Like sleeping predators that everyone suddenly realized had been in the room the whole time. Marcus stood up, straightened his jacket, and picked up his briefcase. Gentlemen, ladies, and esteemed beings, I apologize for the disruption. I will file a formal report about Earth's actions today. Have a pleasant afternoon. He walked out like nothing had happened. I just sat there, staring at where he had been sitting, my mind completely rewriting everything I thought I knew about humanity. Chancellor Thoris leaned over to me, all 3 of his faces looking pale. Vex, did that really just happen? Yes, I managed to say. And I think we need to seriously reconsider how we have been categorizing Earth in our databases. What do you mean? I looked at the view screen showing those 3 human warships, their weapons systems powered down but clearly visible. We have had them listed as a developing diplomatic species, Category 4 threat level, and I think we need to change that to Category 1. Immediately. Maybe Category 0 if such a thing exists. That was when I started really studying humans. Not their culture, not their habits, but their history. Their actual terrifying, beautiful, horrifying history. And let me tell you, what I found made me understand exactly why Marcus Webb smiled when he delivered that ultimatum. Because humans do not negotiate with terrorists. Not because they do not care about the hostages, but because they care too much to let it happen twice. But that is a story for another time. Or maybe part 2 if you want to know what I discovered about humanity's real nature. Trust me, it gets so much worse. Or better. Depending on whether you are a human's friend or their enemy. So, where was I? Oh yes. The part where I realized humanity had been playing the entire Galactic Council like a musical instrument for the past 6 cycles. After the Vox incident, I could not sleep. Well, Krillians do not technically sleep the way you might understand it. We enter a meditative stasis state, but you get the idea. I kept replaying that moment when Marcus Webb's expression changed. That shift from friendly cookie baker to something infinitely more dangerous. I did what any good intelligence officer would do. I went digging through Earth's historical databases. Big mistake. Huge. Absolutely terrifying mistake. Let me paint you a picture here. Earth, right? Beautiful blue planet, looks all peaceful from orbit, nice oceans, green continents, fluffy white clouds, seems lovely. The kind of place you would want to vacation, maybe open a little seaside cafe. Wrong. So catastrophically wrong. That planet has tried to murder its inhabitants roughly every 15 minutes for the last 4 billion years. Volcanoes, check. Earthquakes, obviously. Hurricanes, tsunamis, tornadoes, blizzards, droughts, floods, wildfires, asteroid impacts. Check, 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 and check. And that is not even mentioning the wildlife. Do you know what a hippopotamus is? Look it up. I dare you. That thing kills more humans per year than their actual predators. But here is the thing that made my sensory organs curl up in existential dread. Humans did not just survive all that. They thrived. They looked at a planet actively trying to exterminate them and said, yeah, okay, challenge accepted. Then, and this is the best part, they started fighting each other. For 10,000 years. Constantly. Over everything. Resources, territory, ideology, religion. Who had the better imaginary friend in the sky, you name it. They invented war, perfected it, turned it into an art form, a science, a philosophy. I found records of something called World War II. You know how many humans died in that? Over 70 million. 70 million. And you know what they did after? They invented nuclear weapons. Created devices that could literally split atoms and destroy entire cities. Then built thousands of them. And somehow, managed not to blow themselves up. I was reading all this at 3 in the morning. My breakfast getting cold just staring at my datapad in complete horror. But wait, it gets better. Or worse. Definitely worse. I found their entertainment archives. Their movies, their books, their games. You know what humans do for fun? They simulate the apocalypse. Over and over again. Zombies, aliens, robots, demons, plagues, nuclear war, climate catastrophe, asteroid strikes, you name a way to end civilization. They have made entertainment about surviving it. They practice ending the world recreationally. I called my supervisor at 4 in the morning. Sir, we have a problem. Vex, this better be important. Sir, the humans have been lying to us. Long pause. Explain. They are not a diplomatic species trying to learn galactic politics. They are a warrior species trying very, very hard not to be warriors anymore. And we just watched one of them remember what he actually is. Another pause. Longer this time. How certain are you? 98.7% certain, sir. Maybe higher. Send me your files. All of them. I am calling an emergency intelligence briefing. That briefing happened 6 hours later. 12 senior intelligence officers from 8 different species, all crammed into a secure conference room, all looking at the same data I had compiled. Director Yalthix from Preliminary Threat Assessment spoke first. This cannot be accurate. You are telling me humans spent their entire developmental period in constant warfare. Not just warfare, I corrected. Increasingly sophisticated, increasingly devastating warfare. They went from hitting each other with rocks to splitting atoms in less than 10,000 years. That is not evolution, Director. That is weaponized innovation. But they are so friendly, someone protested. I think it was Agent Korvax from the fleeing delegation. Ambassador Webb brings pastries to meetings. Yes, I agreed. He does. Because he is trying to be civilized. They all are. But civilized is not the same as harmless. A tiger is still a tiger, even if it has been well fed and chooses not to hunt. Agent Milrith pulled up a file. I have been reviewing their military doctrine. Do you know what their special forces train for? Situations they call SEER. Survival, evasion, resistance, escape. They literally prepare their soldiers to continue fighting even after capture, even after torture, even after everything has gone wrong. Look at their space program. Another analyst added. They strapped themselves to controlled explosions and threw themselves off their planet before they even had reliable computer systems. One of their early moon missions had a guidance computer less powerful than a modern food dispenser, and they still made it work. The evidence kept piling up. Their medical technology developed primarily to keep soldiers alive in combat. Their communications networks, originally military infrastructure. Their satellite systems, their GPS, their internet. Almost everything they had shared with the Council had originated from military research. Director Yalthix was looking pale. All 4 of his face tentacles had gone limp. So what you are telling me is that humanity has been on its best behavior this entire time? Yes, sir. And the Vax Collective just witnessed what happens when they stop being polite. Correct, sir. Stars preserve us. That is when the second incident happened. Because of course it did. The universe has a terrible sense of timing. A pirate fleet, 30 ships strong, decided to raid a human mining colony in the outer reaches. They thought it would be easy. Isolated target, minimal defenses, rich in rare minerals. Standard piracy operation. They did not realize that mining colony was home to 5,000 humans, including 300 former military personnel who had retired there specifically because it was supposed to be peaceful and quiet. The pirates sent their demands. Surrender all minerals, abandon the colony, leave your ships behind. The colony administrator, a woman named Jennifer Park, sent back a 5-word response. Come and take it yourselves. The pirates thought she was bluffing. They were not familiar with human history. Specifically, they had never heard of Sparta, or the Alamo, or any of the hundreds of times humans had looked at overwhelming odds and decided to fight anyway. The battle lasted 4 hours. 30 pirate vessels against a mining colony that technically had 0 military ships. Want to know the result? 28 pirate vessels destroyed, 2 captured, 0 human casualties. How? How did they do it? They weaponized their mining equipment, turned drilling lasers into point defense systems, used cargo haulers as ramming vessels, turned the entire asteroid field into a trap. One engineer, a guy named Thomas Wright, apparently rigged the main refinery to explode like a directed energy weapon. They coordinated the whole defense using their civilian communication network and tactics they remembered from their military service years ago. When Council security forces finally arrived to help, Jennifer Park was standing in the command center, drinking coffee, looking mildly annoyed that her afternoon had been interrupted. Situation resolved, she told them. Sorry for the mess. We will clean up the debris. The Council security commander just stared. You destroyed an entire pirate fleet, with mining equipment. Jennifer shrugged. They should not have interrupted our work quota. We have production schedules to meet. That report landed on my desk 2 days later. I just put my head down and laughed. Not a happy laugh, mind you, more of a hysterical. The universe is absolutely insane kind of laugh. My supervisor found me like that. Vex, you okay? Sir, do you know what the most terrifying thing about humans is? What? They actually mean it when they say they want peace. They genuinely, truly want to be friends with everyone. They are trying so hard to be diplomatic and civilized. But the second you threaten something they care about, the second you cross that line. I looked up at him. You are not facing diplomats anymore. You are facing 10,000 years of survival instincts and warfare evolution, and absolutely nothing in the galaxy is prepared for that. He sat down heavily. What do? We make absolutely certain that humanity remains our friend, sir, because I have seen what they do to their enemies, and I never ever want to be on that list. Ambassador Marcus Webb brought cookies to the next council meeting. Oatmeal raisin this time. Still smiling, still friendly, still the nicest guy you would ever meet. But now I knew what was behind that smile. And let me tell you, I have never been more polite to anyone in my entire life. The galaxy learned an important lesson that humans do not negotiate with terrorists. Not because they cannot, but because they refuse to. Because once you give in, once you show weakness, once you prove that taking hostages works, it never stops. And humans, bless their terrifying little hearts, care too much to let that happen. So yeah, that is my story. The day I learned that humanity's greatest strength is not their technology, or their adaptability, or their creativity. It is their absolute refusal to stay victims, ever. Sleep well, galaxy. The humans are your friends. And if you are very, very lucky, they always will be.